of all people should be able to hear when Paramhansa tells us that really he sees God as Divine Mother. His guru definitely saw it as Heavenly Father, or possibly just Father, not Dad. His guru seems a bit severe, really. Paramhansa talks of him as being an avatar of wisdom, which is not the same as an avatar of love, like, say, Ananda Moima. Or the Sunday school version of Jesus. Really loving person. Yes. Where was I? Oh yeah, well I was thinking that my relationship with Mum and so forth, which I've talked about. But I'm thinking of him too, losing Mum at the age of, I think it was 11. Might have been 12. And how he just gloomed. I don't know whether it was down the garden, under a tree, day in, day out. Terrible loss of what he valued. That was the reality at that point in his life, when he was coping with what he was thinking about. Yeah, poor chap. So he longed and, had experience of Divine Mother apparition. I'm not sure if it's fair to call it apparition, but experience of thought. Or just experience, forget about the word thought for a moment, okay. And met with Divine Mother. But in some sense his Mum was just the facade of the real reality of Mum, which was God, loving and caring for him. The word God doesn't seem to serve very well here. Divine Mother, Divine Mother. And gave Paramhansa that softness of character that when you look at the photo of him and you say he's neither male nor female, which avatars were accredited with. They were in some sense a transcendence from gender into, well, ideally, of course, the combination of the best features of both male and female. And his photo does present us that as a very amazing appearance. It may be retouched, of course. Someone accused me of saying it had been retouched. I don't mean that invalidated it, of course. I mean that it represents what is trying to be said in the publication of it. And very effective too. Like the story of Jesus. Paramhansa's autobiography, was highly significant in me coming to feel astonished that I now wanted God to exist, which I hadn't accepted at all before. The conversion. Not the classic Christian conversion of, I met with Jesus and saw the light. No, this was, I read the autobiography and flirted with all the miraculous characters that he describes there, all the different people he'd met in his life. I mean, phenomenal people. And it quickened in me a great desire for God to be. Wow, what has happened to you, Marshall? And as I say, I didn't come down. I was in heavenly places, so to speak, as St. Paul would say, by the experience. Not blinded. On the contrary, his spiritual eyes were open to the loveliness of his God, as opposed to the legalism of his God before, as he saw it. And the poor chap felt ashamed of himself that he could have been so wrong before. And what came to his rescue? A theology of forgiveness and rescue that has served many people who have felt they were Christian, dramatically felt they were Christian because of it, down the ages. And not to be scoffed at, but has its problems. You know, a God that requires payment, sacrifice, would sacrifice his son, go through agony. I mean, no, I'm not going through that story again. You know it all. I don't feel it was the perfect solution by any means. You know, the Pauline view. And he doesn't have a view of the gospel story. He doesn't talk about what Jesus talks about. Doesn't know or refer to, anyway, of Jesus' miracles and teachings. And did you ever meet a Christian that didn't do this? Well, it's nonsense, isn't it? He doesn't do it, though. And yet he's the founder of the church. He's the one that, you know, the church is based on, his theology, which he justifies entirely by reference to the Old Testament, not the gospel detailed Jesus person at all, other than giving communion on the night he was betrayed. So I don't mean that Paul is to be ignored. I don't ignore anyone. It's to be understood in context, yes. Distinguished from other views like the gospel view. And there's not one gospel view either. I mean, there's 4 accounts and they do have different biases, but even more than that, there's 1,000 different views as to what is important in the story and what the story means. Hence you get all these different factions and denominations and dissensions and splits and so on within a religion, most notably in Christianity, but in most religions, I think. I'm not sure, but I think so. It does depend on what you define as a faction and what you define as a separate religion, of course. You know, it's something like Mormon religion or Jehovah's Witnesses. Are they simply a beyond the fringe separate religion, or are they within the family of different Christian views? Depends on how close you're following one of these views, I think, isn't it? Although I don't know, I'm following what my view is of the Jesus view strongly. I'm not rejecting these other people's views. I don't know, whatever. Thank you, Heavenly Dad. Oh yes, just went back to 7 minutes of this after at 7 minutes through. The true, now the Jesus story has been hijacked in Christianity by a perversion of, let me say, that's an emotive thing, an editing of, an edited version of St. Paul's Gnostic view of what the Christ was about. And that view is pre-Jesus dating. You know, the Essenes and so on. I mean, they have the teacher of righteousness and the therapeutes, the healers. I mean, Jesus turned out to be a healer, didn't he? Yeah. And this Pauline view, amalgam, again, it's an accretion, an accumulation through time of adjusting the Pauline story into what we have now in the form of Christian theology. It's part and parcel of this literalist Church of Rome. Well, we say Rome, but I mean, it's not just Rome, it was the empire, you know, desperately eclipsing everything that was not of itself and utterly wiping out the Gnostic tradition in as far as it could. And it couldn't. It took hundreds of years. I mean, this non-organized Gnostic view, what Christianity was in the beginning, was far more durable than the literalist church ever imagined or feared. It took much longer. Well, it still hasn't survived. I mean, you've got nutters like Marshall that still think, my goodness, that seems to have been nearer the Jesus story than Christianity. How astonishing. You see what I mean? Thank you, Heavenly Dad. Divine Mother, my Divine Mother. 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 That's the chorus of a song from Paramhansa. Bless him. Thank you, Heavenly Dad.